November 1942. A German patrol moved through the ruins of Stalingrad. 23 soldiers, all veterans, all careful. The sun was setting. Shadows stretched across the broken buildings. Their sergeant raised his fist. Everyone stopped. Complete silence. Then he heard it. A sound that didn't belong. The scrape of metal on concrete. He turned toward the noise. Nothing. Just rubble and darkness. He took one step forward. His head snapped back. He dropped, dead before he hit the ground. No gunshot. No muzzle flash. Nothing. The other soldiers dove for cover. Their hands shook, because they knew she was out there somewhere, and when the sun went down, they were all going to die. They called her the Night Witch, Lady Death. The German soldiers had a different name for her. They called her the Invisible Ghost. Her name was Lyudmila Pavlichenko. She was 25 years old, a college student from Ukraine. Before the war, she studied history. She liked to read. She was quiet, shy even. Her friend said she was the last person you'd expect to become a killer. But she had a gift, a terrifying gift. She could shoot, and she never missed. The patrol that lost their sergeant? They waited until dark. Big mistake. 3 more soldiers died in the next hour, one by one. Each kill is perfectly placed. Headshots, heart shots, clean, professional, silent. The survivors retreated at dawn. 15 men walked into those ruins. 9 walked out. They reported back to their commander. He didn't believe them at first. One woman couldn't do this. Impossible. But it kept happening. Every patrol, every day, someone didn't come back. Quick thing before I continue. Hit subscribe if you want more incredible WW2 stories like this. We're building something special here, and you'll want to be part of it. In the next 2 years, Lyudmila Pavlichenko would kill 309 German soldiers. 309 confirmed kills. More than any woman in history. More than almost any man in history. 36 of those kills were enemy snipers. Men trained specifically to hunt people like her. They all failed. This is the story of how one quiet Ukrainian woman became the most feared sniper of World War II. How German soldiers begged not to be sent to her sector. How she hunted in complete darkness. And how she made the German army terrified of the night. Before the war, nobody thought Lyudmila would be a soldier. She was born in a small village in Ukraine in 1916. Her family wasn't rich, wasn't poor, just normal. When she was 14, her family moved to Kiev. She went to school, got good grades, wanted to be a teacher maybe, or a historian. Then something changed. One day she walked past a shooting range. Young men were inside practicing. She watched them through the window. They were terrible, missing targets, laughing about it, showing off. She thought she could do better, so she went inside, asked if she could try. The men laughed. A girl? Shooting? This would be funny. They handed her a rifle. She loaded it, aimed, fired, bullseye. First shot. The men stopped laughing. She fired again, bullseye. Again, bullseye. The range instructor came over. He stared at the target, then at her. He asked her to come back tomorrow. She did. She came back every day for a year. By 1937, she was the best shooter in Kiev, better than the men, better than the instructors, better than anyone. She joined a shooting club, started competing, won every competition she entered, but she kept quiet about it. Her friends at university didn't know. Her professors didn't know. She studied history during the day, shot targets at night. 2 different lives. She liked it that way. Then June 22nd, 1941. Germany invaded. 3 million German soldiers crossed the border. Tanks, planes, artillery. The Red Army fell back, collapsed. Whole divisions were surrounded and destroyed. In Kiev, Lyudmila heard the news. She walked to the recruitment office, stood in line. When she got to the front, the recruiter looked at her and smiled. He said they needed nurses. She said she wasn't going to be a nurse. She was going to be a sniper. He laughed, told her to go home. She pulled out her shooting certificates, competition medals, range records. The recruiter stopped laughing. He made a phone call. 3 days later, she was in the Red Army. They gave her a Mosin Nagant rifle, standard issue, nothing special, basic iron sights. But in her hands, it was deadly. Her first deployment was near Odessa, August 1941. The Romanian army was attacking. They were Germany's allies, not as well trained as Germans, but there were thousands of them. Lyudmila's unit dug in on a hillside overlooking the enemy advance. Her commander was skeptical. He'd never worked with a female sniper before. He told her to stay back. Stay safe. Just observe and report. She nodded. Then she saw two Romanian officers studying a map about 800 meters away. She aimed. Fired. One officer dropped. The other looked up. Confused. She fired again. He dropped. Her commander stared at her. Those were her first 2 kills. She was calm. Didn't shake. Didn't cry. Just reloaded and looked for the next target. In the next 3 months around Odessa, she killed 187 enemy soldiers. 187. The number seemed impossible. Her commanders checked. Rechecked. Every kill had to be confirmed by another soldier. A witness. They were all legitimate. All verified. The Germans heard about her. They started sending counter-snipers. Men trained in Germany. Experts. Hunters. They came to kill her. She killed them instead. One by one. She'd wait for them to set up. Watch them get comfortable. Then she'd shoot. They never saw her. Never heard of her. They just died. Her method was simple. Patience. Most snipers got impatient. Took shots too early. Moved around too much. Not her. She'd stay in one position for 12 hours without moving. It didn't matter if it was hot, cold, raining, snowing. She'd lie there in the dirt and wait. German soldiers would walk past her position. 5 meters away. 10 meters. She wouldn't move. Wouldn't breathe. Just wait. And when the perfect shot appeared, she took it. December 1941. Odessa fell. The Red Army evacuated to Sevastopol, a port city on the Crimean Peninsula. The Germans surrounded it, started a siege. This is where Lyudmila became a legend. The fighting in Sevastopol was brutal. House to house, room to room. The Germans would attack during the day. The Soviets would counterattack at night. It was chaos. Perfect conditions for a sniper. The front lines were so close you could hear the enemy talking, smoking, eating. Lyudmila used this. She learned German phrases, could identify units by their accents, knew when they were about to attack, and she hunted them. One German sniper in particular became her target. His name was never recorded, but Soviet soldiers called him the Bavarian. He was good, really good. He'd already killed at least 30 Soviet soldiers, maybe more. His hide was somewhere in the ruins of a factory. Nobody could find it. Nobody could get close. Lyudmila studied him for 3 days. Watched where his shots came from. Calculated angles. Figured out his position. Then she did something crazy. She exposed herself. Stood up just for a second in an open window. The Bavarian took the bait. Fired. Missed. Just barely. The bullet passed centimeters from her head. But now she saw his muzzle flash. Found his exact position. She moved. Circled around through the rubble. Got behind him. Waited for hours for him to shift his position. When he finally moved, she shot him through the side of his head. The Bavarian was dead. The German command was furious. They sent another sniper, then another. She killed them both. The Germans put a bounty on her head. They wanted her dead or alive, preferably alive. They wanted to parade her, show that the Soviet super sniper was just a woman. They offered German soldiers promotions for killing her. Money, leave, medals. It didn't matter. She kept killing. Her fellow Soviet soldiers started calling her Lady Death. German soldiers called her worse things. They were terrified of her. Absolutely terrified. When German units learned she was in their sector, morale collapsed. Men would refuse to go on patrol. Some deserted. Others shot themselves in the foot to get sent to the hospital. Anything to avoid her. Because they knew the truth. If you were in her sights, you were already dead. One German diary was found after the battle. The soldier wrote, "We are not fighting a woman. We are fighting a demon. She sees in the dark. She knows where we are before we get there. Yesterday she killed Schneider. He was behind 3 walls. How did she even know he was there? We cannot fight this. We cannot win." That soldier died 2 days after writing that entry. Lyudmila killed him too. But it wasn't easy for her. People think snipers just lie down and shoot. It's not like that. Every day she'd crawl through rubble, glass, metal, dirt. In summer, the ruins of Sevastopol would get so hot you could barely breathe. In winter, so cold your fingers would stick to metal. She'd spend hours in positions so uncomfortable she couldn't feel her legs, couldn't move, couldn't drink water, because any movement could give her away. And if the Germans spotted her, she was dead. She was also shot at constantly, not just by snipers, artillery, mortars, machine guns. German planes would strafe her positions. Once a mortar round landed 2 meters from where she was hiding. The explosion threw her 3 meters, covered her in dirt and debris. She couldn't hear for 2 days. Her ears rang constantly, but she kept fighting, kept hunting. By March 1942, she had 257 kills. The number kept growing. She'd killed more enemy soldiers than entire companies. Her commanders wanted to pull her out, send her somewhere safe, use her for propaganda. But she refused. Her friends were still fighting, still dying. She wouldn't leave them. Then June 1942, a German mortar attack. Lyudmila was spotting targets with another soldier. They heard the whistle. Incoming. They dove. The mortar hit close. Too close. Shrapnel tore through her position. Pieces of metal ripped into her face and body. She couldn't see, couldn't hear. Everything was blood and pain. Medics pulled her out, rushed her to a field hospital. The doctor said she'd never fight again. The shrapnel wounds were too severe. She'd lost too much blood. She needed to evacuate. The Soviet command finally had their excuse. They pulled her from Sevastopol, sent her to Moscow. Her combat career was over. 309 confirmed kills. 309 German soldiers died. 36 of them were enemy snipers. The deadliest female sniper in human history. She was 25 years old. But the Soviets weren't done with her. They needed heroes, needed propaganda, needed to show the world that the Red Army was winning. So they sent her on tour, first to Moscow, then to Canada, then to the United States. She met President Franklin Roosevelt, became the first Soviet citizen received at the White House. Eleanor Roosevelt befriended her, took her shopping, showed her around Washington. American reporters swarmed her, asked stupid questions, like what kind of makeup she wore, what she thought of her uniform, whether she wore it to dances. She got frustrated. At one press conference she said, "Gentlemen, I am 25 years old and I have killed 309 fascist invaders by now. Don't you think you have been hiding behind my back for too long?" The room went silent. But her tour worked. Americans loved her. She helped raise money for the war effort, sold bonds, gave speeches, told Americans about the fight against fascism, about her dead friends, about what the Germans were doing to her country. She was effective, charismatic, real. Americans saw her and understood. This war mattered. This enemy had to be stopped. Back in the Soviet Union, Sevastopol fell in July 1942. Almost everyone she knew was dead. Her spotter, her friends, her commanders. The city was destroyed. The Germans won the battle but lost thousands of men doing it. Lyudmila's 309 kills were just a fraction of the German casualties. But those 309 killed differently. They killed morale. They killed confidence. They made German soldiers afraid. After the war, Lyudmila went back to university, finished her degree, became a historian. She trained other Soviet snipers, taught them her techniques, her patience, her methods. But she never spoke much about the war. She had nightmares, PTSD. The faces of the men she killed haunted her. People would recognize her on the street, ask her what it felt like to kill. She'd walk away, wouldn't answer, because they didn't understand, couldn't understand. She received every Soviet military honor, Hero of the Soviet Union, their highest medal. But she said once in an interview, "I am proud that I was able to help my country in its darkest hour. But I am not proud of killing. I did what I had to do, what my country needed. But every kill is still a human being. Every death is still a death." She died in 1974, only 58 years old. The war had broken her body. Shrapnel wounds, injuries, stress. But she lived long enough to see the Soviet Union defeat Germany, saw her country rebuild, saw peace. That mattered to her. German veterans who fought at Sevastopol never forgot her. Some admitted after the war they were terrified. One former German officer said in the 1960s, "We had good snipers, professional soldiers, men who'd hunted in the Alps their whole lives. She killed them all. We couldn't stop her, couldn't find her, couldn't beat her. She was the best I ever saw, man or woman, the absolute best. Today, young snipers study her techniques. Military historians analyze her tactics. She's taught at war colleges, not because she was a woman, because she was the best. Her patience, her discipline, her ability to stay calm under pressure. These are what made her lethal, what made her a legend. 309 kills. Each one confirmed, each one witnessed, each one is real. That number represents more than just deaths. It represents fear. The fear German soldiers felt when the sun went down, when the shadows grew long, when they didn't know if she was out there, watching, waiting. That fear spread through entire battalions, made commanders change tactics, made soldiers question whether they'd survive another day. One woman, one rifle, 309 kills, more than most infantry companies achieve in an entire war. She hunted the hunters, beat the experts, survived when everyone said she'd die, and she did it all while being constantly underestimated, constantly questioned, constantly told she couldn't do it. She proved them all wrong. Thanks for watching this story about one of history's deadliest soldiers. Next week we're covering the time a single American submarine sank an entire Japanese convoy and disappeared into the night. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss it. These stories need to be told.